Hello, welcome back to another video. Welcome back to the YouTube channel, people. And yeah, make sure you're leaving a like on the video. Make sure you are subscribing to the YouTube channel, people, if you are, especially if you are new, because we're trying to reach 1,000 subscribers before the Premier League season ends and 800 in February. We're closing in, people. We're closing in. Thank you for the support as of recently. We've got two videos today. I'm recording both of this on a Wednesday night. Um, yeah, I'm trying to get as many videos and streams as possible, people. And yeah, we'll have some streams Friday for the Arsenal game. But I needed to make a couple videos today talking about West Ham United on two separate issues, one on the field and one off the field. Let's start off the field. Karren Brady, for some reason, has decided to open her mouth and talk. Literally, I can think of probably zero people that asked for this to happen. I think literally zero people asked for Karren Brady to start talking again. But this is the game, unfortunately. If you're gonna stay at West Ham, if you're gonna own West Ham United, don't speak. We don't want to hear you. It's not like she's got an album to release or anything like that. It's not like West Ham are going up in the FA Cup semi-final or Carabao Cup final or in a title race for her to be talking about anything to do with us at this current moment in time, or for her to be invited on a podcast. I don't know what the podcast is called, but I watched a clip on Twitter today on some Sky Sports podcast where she is talking about the stadium move. Now, I haven't seen the full quotes in terms of the whole podcast because I don't want to kill myself, but I will respond to that clip specifically. Now, obviously, it's typical for what we've heard over the years. And listen, we moved from the London Stadium. Well, how long has it been? 2016, so nearly 10 years ago. It's been 9 years, nearly 9 years now, 8.5 years. 8.5 years since the stadium move. And I've watched countless documentaries on Upton Park. I've watched the BT Sport one. I watched the Amazon Prime one that was released years ago. I've talked about the London Stadium a couple years ago on the YouTube channel as well. Um, to be fair, any of you that are now regular commenters on the channel probably wouldn't have been watching this channel. But I made a video on the stadium before, and I'm gonna re-talk about it again. And this is just referring to what she's talking about because she tried using the justification of the stadium move to the trophy we won in 2023. Because and also referring to the fact that people don't like change and are saying that people are happy with the stadium move now. I don't know whether this was done on purpose by like one of the agents that are associated with the media and the footballing owners to get this podcast done and over with, just because there's a lot of bad PR going about when it comes to just in general when it comes to the London Stadium. However, uh, that's kind of not my problem. Here's my problem. Here's my problem. Here's my problem. It's the worst timing. It's the worst timing possible for you to do this because of the bad PR. Now, a lot of people are complaining about the stadium again every time we lose. Well, the stadium isn't going to fucking change anytime soon, is it? So what's the point? This is the first fuck up with the London Stadium. First of all, if you need to move stadium, you know that your FFP shit is going to be fucked. Tottenham spent fuck all around that time when they moved stadium. Arsenal were repaying the stadium for a long, long time. Everton have gone through their issues with the stadium move as well. And we need to spend money. And the problem is, we rented the stadium, then had terrible transfer windows. So anything on the pitch and off the pitch collided together into fucking nonsense. Which is why fans started going on the pitch against Burnley in 2018 and putting flags in the middle of, the pitch. That's why that kind of stuff happened. Because there was discontent on and off the pitch. And the problem is now, just because of especially the early years of the David Moyes era, or every year apart from the last 18 months of the David Moyes era was really good, that they're saying that the stadium was because of that. No, it was not. Because every player that we signed and the manager that we got could have been attracted by Upton Park. They do, like, just because Lucas Paquetá, when he first signed it, said, "Oh, the stadium's amazing and all this." Every fucking player says that when they join West Ham United. The stadium, the stadium, the stadium. Because that's just a generic statement. It's because the stadium is still somewhat new in the grand scheme of the footballing world that they're going to mention the stadium. These players are all media trained, a bit like Karren Brady herself. She's proving year in, year out, every time she decides to speak for whatever reason. Again, nobody asked her to speak. That she's out of touch with the fan base, but we know this already. This is nothing new. They've been here since 2010. We've had 15 years of this nonsense. Don't get me wrong, I don't help by going to the fucking games, do I? But at the same time, is there going to be a fucking protest anytime soon? No, there's not going to be a protest. If they were going to leave, it would have been after 2018. That's the reality of things. They are not leaving anytime soon, unless every West Ham YouTuber that may be watching this, every West Ham fan wants to start protesting anytime soon. I'm all for that. I will stop going to the games. But unless we're collided as a community together, it ain't powerful like that. And the problem is with this, I'm not going to call her that, but the problem is with this moron, this absolute moron that runs our club, is she tried to justify the season ticket prices by saying that we have the um, cheapest male season ticket, the cheapest adult season ticket price in the league. That is not a brag, because having the cheapest ticket in the Premier League for season tickets is the equivalent of you meeting a bunch of serial killers. One's killed 100 people, one's killed like 20, one's killed like 10. And then you meet just a casual murderer, someone that's only murdered one person. You look at them and think, oh, they're not that bad. No, they are. They're still a bad person. They're just, it doesn't compare because of the other serial killers you just met on that day. That's what bragging about the cheapest price of adult season ticket is right at this current moment in time at West Ham United. So that's not a justification. Another point, as I mentioned earlier, is that she tried justifying the stadium move into why we've won a European trophy and stuff like that as well. As I said before, I'm sure David Moyes would have joined West Ham United with Upton Park. He's not exactly a world-class manager or anything. Again, this is not a shot at David Moyes. It's just a case of you don't need like some mad stadium to attract David Moyes. David Moyes worked for Sunderland at the Stadium of Lights. Nice stadium, by the way, but it's not a glamorous stadium in the grand scheme of things either. Just because he worked at Old Trafford doesn't mean he wouldn't have gone to Upton Park. If you look at the players we signed, I don't think Kurt Zuma, Nikola Vlasic, Alex Krau, Alfonso Areola, Lucas Paquetá, Scamacca, Tilo Kehrer, Nea Faged, Flynn Downs, all these man, Maxwell Cornet, etc. Mohamed Kudus, Edson Alvarez, James Ward-Prowse, whoever it is that we signed under David Moyes, Lingard, Bowen, Souček. They didn't move because West Ham were in the London fucking stadium. We didn't win a trophy because of the stadium we were in. We won the trophy because we were the best team by a country mile in that competition. Despite the scoreline against Fiorentina, we were a way better team than Fiorentina, despite being, 14th or 13th in the Premier League in that season. We spent more than anyone in that competition. The reason why we can spend money, and this is why I don't believe in the whole sell to buy nonsense that West Ham need to sell to buy all the time, is because you are renting the stadium and you're getting revenue from the stadium to then fund the transfers. The reason why we don't spend wisely is because of the board. It's because of the board. I don't do this whole thing of we only spend well, we credit to Steiden when he was here, then we don't. It's on the board and stuff like that as well. I'll give you all the justifications and all the context to every transfer on this YouTube channel. But I'm talking in the grand scheme of things, as I've mentioned a million times in this video already, with the transfer windows that we've come across. That has been the main problem, is the lack of smart spending. So think about it. You moved to the London Stadium, and people forget this because it was 9 years ago. We are probably the only club that has an ownership that was bragging about being in for big name strikers and like publicly briefed that kind of stuff to the media. And if you remember, the names at the time was like, I think it was like Jackson Martinez, Carlos Bacca, and Alexander Lacazette. And we ended up with Simone Zaza and Jonathan Calleri. Uh, Neither of them combined score, like both of them combined scored less than 10 goals for West Ham. I'd actually go far to say, if I can remember correctly, that put them together, they scored a combined amount of less than 5 for West Ham United. Yes, Zaza was alone. I don't care though. I don't care. They were We signed Sofian Faguli, um, Gökhan Torre, Havard Nordveit, um, Alvaro Arbeloa, Arthur Masuaku, Edmilson Fernandez. I don't remember who else signed that window, but I'm pretty sure I've got most of them. And we sold Dimitri Payet to get Jose Font and Robert Snodgrass, and I think Andre Ayew in the fucking January window. Unless Ayew joined, yeah, because Ayew left the season after, so I'm pretty sure he joined 16-17. Those were the players we signed. So you're telling me we couldn't have signed those players at Upton Park? We signed Andre Ayew from fucking Swansea, not Barcelona. They would have joined. We literally had Dimitri Payet at Upton Park in the very last season, and you want to tell me that the reason why we won a European trophy was because we moved to the fucking London Stadium. Now let's get on to now. Everything I've just said about Karren Brady has been debunked. In terms of, I've just debunked all of her points. Now let's get on to why the stadium is fucking terrible. So now, kind of associated it with one of my earlier points about renting the stadium and using that as transfer window justification. The problem is with renting the stadium is that you have no control of what the stadium's design actually is. You manage to just get a West Ham United design with a couple claret seats across a bunch of white seats. So when you go into the stadium, when it's empty, it says West Ham United with the crossed hammers badge. You change the badge to West Ham London, which was literally something that you said you didn't want to do to West Ham and build it as a franchise. You didn't want to be called like West Ham London or anything, but that's exactly what it says on the fucking badge. It's also what it says on the stadium. Now, the problem is, when you walk into the stadium, it doesn't look like a West Ham stadium. When you went into Upton Park, all the seats were claret. Now, yes, it's a very small point that I'm making here, that there's about the stadium colour. But when you walk into, I'm sure when you walk into the Emirates Stadium, Old Trafford, Anfield, and it's all red, the stadium's red on the outside, but there's a bare red on the out and inside. It's kind of basic stuff to make you feel like you're actually playing at home, and the supporters making them feel like they are already at home in itself. Second of all, it's around Stratford and it's around Westfield and Stratford, the shopping centre. You can literally go around on the back end of the shopping centre and you're across the road from the journey to the stadium. Now, everyone knows this already. We've been here for 9 years. But the problem is, you kind of put it as a tourist attraction. Well, it was already used as a tourist attraction at the Olympics. So you've kind of put West Ham United in a tourist attraction place away from its actual roots in itself, the working class roots as it was in Upton Park Green Street. Now, here's the problem again, and obviously in Canning Town and stuff, but this is the problem. You've put it in a mainstream place where it's not like West Ham fans are rich people, the typical match going fan. I fucking wish I was rich, but I am not rich. I am one of the season ticket holders. I've been going to West Ham for a very long time, and the London Stadium was actually one of the main reasons why I stopped going to West Ham in the 16-17 season. Um, but I've mentioned this before. Like this is where I get to my next point. The typical fans don't reflect the place of where the stadium is, and that's important in itself because you don't build a community that way. Now, luckily, West Ham have already got a big loyal fan base that are local anyway. So everyone that went to Upton Park is going to go to Stratford. It isn't exactly too far away because it's still East London. It's not like Tottenham won the stadium or anything because they were in for that. And this fucking moron, again, back to Karren Brady, was bragging about beating Tottenham to the stadium. Now, I can't lie. It's not a brag because if Tottenham had that stadium, they couldn't, like, it'll be quite embarrassing for them to be called Tottenham anymore because they wouldn't be in Tottenham, they'd be in fucking Stratford, and we'd be in East London Derby. It'd be just as embarrassing. Well, like it's not what they call Arsenal when it comes to like Woolwich boys and all that. So it's not really a brag beating a club called Tottenham Hotspur to a stadium in Stratford. The only other team that were in there was Leyton Orient, and I don't think they could have afforded that. I don't think they would have been in big financial trouble even renting that stadium, especially being in like what League One at the time probably. I can't remember what division they were in at the time. So none of that is a brag either. Again, on to my next point. We know what the game is. I think every West Ham fan knows what the game is. Now, it's a bit out of touch again to brag about season ticket prices when there's been a whole concession protest going on every single week at the club where the black balloons come out for the Save Our Concessions thing. If you don't know about concessions, it's pretty much the change of price for certain age groups, so it's cheaper for kids than older people to go. That's gone now. That's gone now. That was gone at the start of the season. There was a big uproar about it. It's important. Like, I've not got the biggest platform. I'm nowhere near the biggest West Ham YouTuber. I'm not the biggest West Ham fan on YouTube by a long shot. I'm not. But the big platforms do talk about this as well, and it's important for me to join in and talk about this. This kind of stuff. But the game is this. Because we are placed in a tourist attraction spot, they want the fans that are not fans. They want the fans that are not supporters. We are fans and supporters. But they want the casual fan. They don't want the match-going fan. We all know this. Every football club are trying to do this. Every footballing owner are trying to do this. It's just the differences between certain footballing owners is that an owner like Manchester City's are trying to do everything top tier off the pitch. I don't know about Liverpool's own. I don't really know too much about Liverpool's owners, but we know Man United owners aren't, Arsenal owners aren't, Tottenham owners aren't. Well, Tottenham owners are focusing on Tottenham institution. They've done quite a lot of a good off the pitch that has nothing to do with the football, but that's why Tottenham fans don't like Daniel Levy and ENIC. We'll see what Everton fans are like. It's very difficult to pinpoint which owners actually care about the fans, maybe barring Bournemouth. But I've even seen Bournemouth fans before complain about ticket prices. So they don't really care about it. I don't think owners care about fans in general. But that's a debate for another day. So to place us there, and where I'm seated quite high up. I won't reveal my exact ticket. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll probably see kind of where I sit already. I'm sit quite high up. I sit quite high up for my season ticket. So a lot of the seats around me, I see different people quite a lot. Now, some people next to me, I see every game, but some people next to me, I don't see every game. Sometimes it's family members passing it down to other family members, like other West Ham fans, so they could go and see a game instead. But sometimes people around me, people behind me, people in front of me, people next to me are like the foreign fans or the English fans that don't support West Ham or don't like football. And it's not just foreign people, it's English people as well. I've seen fans of too many fans of other clubs in the West Ham United Stadium. I've seen too many foreign fans that are, I want to mean foreign fans, I mean foreign people that aren't West Ham fans. Because I see worldwide West Ham fans all the time. I see Irish West Ham fans. I see Ghanaian West Ham fans. I see Asian West Ham fans, like Chinese West Ham fans. I see like Algerian West Ham fans, even after Ben Rama and stuff. Like nothing to do with Ben Rama. I've seen fucking Swiss flags. I've seen bare flags. I've seen Brazilian fans that are not even there for Lucas Paquetá. They're there for West Ham. I've seen fans that are like worldwide there. I ain't talking about them. And they don't even come every game. They don't have to either. But they're there to watch West Ham. But everyone knows what I'm talking about. It's not even the armchair fans. Armchair fans are still fans. You're not more of a fan by going to a game. You're not more of a fan by doing anything. because I respect a lot of the foreign fans that don't work now in another country have to wake up at 2 a.m. in the morning to watch West Ham United. If that was me, I probably would have stopped watching. Not gonna lie, because if I didn't have this YouTube channel, I probably would have stopped watching a long time ago anyway. I would have got on with my life. But I have a YouTube channel, so I have to watch to talk about it. I wish I could not watch and then have this big waffling skill to talk about West Ham games without watching it, because I don't really want to watch West Ham, to be completely honest with you, but I do. However, back onto the stadium, those are the kind of fans that they want. So that's part of the game. And now, the actual match day experience, I will say this: being that high up and that far away, the view isn't bad. The view isn't a bad view at all. I've been high up at Wembley before. I fucking hated it. I hated it. Yes, I was like 8, but I hated being high up at Wembley because you can't see a thing. Now with West Ham, I don't mind it. The problem is you can't create an atmosphere there anyway. Now, atmospheres are dying in football, regardless, especially in English football. Home atmospheres are dead anyway. The whole only sing when you're winning thing used to be a joke. Fans literally only sing when they're winning now. Basically, every English fans. The only really like you might hear it at times with Bournemouth. You might hear it at times with Everton because it's Goodison Park. We'll see how they do it at Bramley Moore. Palace have the ultra like style fan base, and I'm not even shooting shots at Palace like I usually do, but like when they concede a couple goals, you don't really hear you just hear the drum, just hear the big wanker with the drum, and then you don't really hear um, the rest of the fans singing. No one really has a big atmosphere like that. Newcastle at times as well, but their stadium has been their stadium for time. I'm seeing rumours about moving out of St James's Park, which I think is completely unnecessary because they can't even spend as it is. So that's going to set them back at least 5 to 8 years, in my opinion, from where they want to be. We all know, like, people joke about City, but it's not like Man United have a mad atmosphere. It's not like Arsenal have a mad atmosphere. I know they're trying, at least they're trying, like, with the whole Ultra thing and the whole North London together nonsense, but at least they're trying something, I guess. Um, Liverpool's atmosphere ain't really mad like that. Anfield ain't really hitting like that. Chelsea's atmosphere ain't good like that. Tottenham's atmosphere ain't good like that. When it is rocking, it is rocking. But I don't blame any of these fan bases, by the way. I'm not shooting a shot. I don't blame anyone because there's a whole footballing problem in itself. But the problem is with West Ham, you can't generate an atmosphere regardless of that anyway. But it's because the distance between where the fans are sitting and the pitch is the problem. And here's another problem with renting the stadium: you can't change that because you have to pay. That would take a lot of money to either move the thing closer because you've got to rebuild it and shit. And they're not going to knock the stadium down to rebuild it. You might as well try that with Upton Park and see what you could have done with the cancel, even though you probably couldn't have extended it anyway because of the places around it. But you might as well just stay at Upton Park. And I'm being real with it. I'm being real. And I could get onto another. I'm probably going to still talk. I'm probably going to ramble on for quite a bit, to be honest with you. I didn't expect this video to be this long. Maybe I should have done this as a stream, but um, I wasn't planning for this video to be long. But for example, I've been to the games here where the atmosphere has been at its best. But I'm going to tell you the cold hard truths. Even when the atmosphere is at its best, it's kind of fucking pathetic, and it's not because of the fan base. It's because of the surroundings that we're in. And let me tell you why. When we were in the Europa League, games like the knockout games, especially like Sevilla, Frankfurt, Lyon, Conference League, knockout games like Alkmaar and Ghent, or I can't remember I forgot the team that we battered in the round of 16, and also in the Europa League the next year against Leverkusen. The atmospheres were really good, really, really good, really, really good. You could go watch my old Sevilla vlog. It's not a good vlog. Actually, don't watch that. But I try and capture it as much as possible. But the problem is when you make a chant within your stand, it becomes an echo chamber on the other stand sort of thing, where the chant is delayed because the atmosphere doesn't travel well around the stadium. I'm not chatting shit. I can hear chants from the other side of the stadium, but it's not like the whole stadium's in unison. two different parts of the stadium is chanting different things because they can't fucking hear each other, like from the complete other side. So on TV, it sounds mad because it's just bare noise because it's two sides of the stadium chanting at the exact same time. On top of that, with the foreign away fans, you know what European clubs are like with their away ends as well. Terrific away ends. The best I've seen is Frankfurt. Got the best away end I've ever seen in my life. But with West Ham, that's kind of what the way the stadium is built. That's what it sounds like because it's a bowl-shaped stadium. It's what even worse than like a Brighton, for example. Their stadium's kind of bowlish, but it's not. It's not like ours. It's not like ours. Um, so as good as like the Sevilla game was with the atmosphere, as good as the um Alkmaar game, it's not good enough. It's still not good enough because it's not a footballing stadium. It's not. And that's an example when a stadium's at its best. But let me tell you the truth about this year. Nobody that's even in the stadium wants to be there, even when we were good, even when we were finishing sixth and seventh. I'm sorry, but nobody wanted to be there. It's not like, and this is a whole different thing as well. But it's not like even it could it. I don't think the football would have made a difference. Like the way like if we were winning by popping teams off the park by being team 6-0 or whatever, people would still leave early because they don't like the stadium. Also, it's hard to get back into the station anyway, regardless of a couple shortcuts that I may know of. It's hard to get back in the stadium as it is. Back in the station from the stadium. It's just a fucking ball lake. It's a ball lake. Um, the only positive for me about being at the London Stadium to Upton Park is that I'm more local to the London Stadium, and it's easier via transport. But that's a by whatever. But people are going to leave early regardless. Even when we were finishing sixth and seventh in that 2021 season, in the 21-22 season, and the 22-23 season when we won the Conference League, like I can't lie, even there was bare games where people left early, bare games where people were frustrated, and nowadays the London Stadium experience as a West Ham fan has become kind of, if I was to describe it, it's just a bunch of deflated men and women that have seen their club at Upton Park. Listen, a lot of kids haven't. Funny enough, it makes me feel a lot older than I actually am. Um, that I've seen Upton Park once upon a time. Every time they walk up in the stadium, they're kind of just deflated walking in there. They're kind of just deflated walking in there already. So it's never going to really have a good intuition. I don't know whether intuition is the right word. A good initiative before the game. It's not a good precedent, sorry, before the game because you already don't want to be there. So you're kind of hoping the football's good because you don't want to be at the stadium. That's why people leave early. I've only left early once, and I was against Liverpool like a couple of months ago under Lopetegui. Um, but that's because of Lopetegui, not because of the stadium. I don't mind. I don't mind the stadium in the sense that it's local, in it, so it's not like it takes too long to get there or anything. I don't particularly like it, but I can't do anything about it. If I could, I would fucking smash the stadium. If it was up to me, I'd delete the fucking club at this point. But then again, if I had all full control, I'd give us Saudi owners, rebuild the stadium, have unlimited FFP money, and be winning quadruples every year. But we don't live in Disneyland. We live in fucking East London. Um, but people don't enjoy their time at the stadium anyway. So there's that. It's kind of just a case of getting to see your mates or your family, whoever you go with, or having that experience with your family, and couple beers if you really want to buy a beer from the London Stadium or maybe at the pub before the stadium. I wouldn't buy a beer from the London Stadium. I've only bought an alcoholic drink once there. That was at the Leverkusen game, but that's because I arrived too early and I was bored. So I thought, fuck it, I'll have a drink. Um, I wouldn't pay money there. I don't really spend money there. Uh, I'm trying to think of good things about the stadium. I can't. I'm not. I'm being serious. Like, there's nothing good about entering the stadium. It's difficult to enter the stadium. The security shites anyway, and I don't blame them. may or may not have been in that position before, uh, and understand what they're going through when they work there. But the security is kind of bad anyway. It's not like you can even. And this has always been the thing for as long as I've been going to football. You can't even take bottle caps in, but man, are vaping in there and stuff like that. You're allowed to take vapes, but you're not allowed to take bottle caps. Um, Interesting in itself. It's not like the overall experience is that good anyway, and it's not like the football on top of that is overriding that off the pitch experience as in itself. So for Karren Brady to say anything remotely positive about the London Stadium, um, is out of touch. Is out of touch. This is all the cold hard truths, and we're like 16th right now. I don't think we're gonna get relegated or anything, but I'm gonna say this. This is why I have expectations at West Ham because we moved to the London Stadium. If we was at Upton Park, nobody would be this restless. They'd be restless, but they wouldn't be this restless. Because at Upton Park, we was used to being here. We was used to being here. It was basically, it was at least we could have a fucking day out of it. Hold on to that one positive that we have. Nice, comfortable, local community. Get your food. Easy to enter the stadium. Get to your seat. See the people that you usually see. Watch the game. We probably fucking lose, like we always do. Um, Relegation battles every year, or just mid-table nonsense, mid-table mediocrity, and go home. Don't get me wrong; it's very difficult from my perspective to get there and go home, but it was worth it going to that stadium. We don't see those local communities again. It doesn't have. We don't see that shit again. That was our home, and the reason why we have expectation now, even before the David Moyes stuff, is because of the owners doing false promise nonsense. They were doing false promise nonsense at this club, saying, and I always remember the quote, that we're going to take this club to the next level. Now, to be fair, David Moyes did do that for a few years, but I've always maintained that expectation since 2016. And when I saw it to dip, in my opinion, that's when I was like, okay, I'm seeing too many red flags. Can we capitalize upon this, have a change of manager, and then catapult upwards? Let me take you through the time at the London Stadium very briefly. I'll go through this another time. Maybe I'll make a part 2 if people enjoy this video. Slaven Bilic 2016 was the man who was probably only built for the last season at Upton Park and probably should have had a 1-year contract until another manager takes over. Then we had David Moyes interim, and Pellegrini was hired behind his back 6 months before he actually got the job. I mean, it was leaked in a meeting with the fans. Pellegrini was there, fucking shit show. Every year shit transfer window, just like the previous manager, and the tactics were horrible. After that, we had David Moyes. We had your good times, you had your bad times, mainly good, but the bad times were still bad. We still got battered multiple times. Then we had Julian Lopetegui last year. Well, last year, fucking hell. It ended last month. It's actually 6 weeks when I'm recording this to the day that he left. Need I say any more? In fact, it says below my name, survived Lopetegui, because he's generally the worst manager I've seen at this club. And now we've got Graham Potter, but we're 16th at this current moment in time. And we've won 1 in 6. Now, it's not because of Graham Potter, necessarily, but at the same time, we could have hired Graham Potter months ago. I get Chelsea was still paying him off, but you're a footballing owner. I'm sure you can brown envelope your way around the contract. You've done it before. That's the manager we should have hired in the summer. And the owners on the pitch and off the pitch decisions have all collided into what we are now. We haven't moved upwards. And to be honest, the reason why there isn't a fucking protest, the reason why there isn't any more in real life outrage is because we are too drained and used to it by now. We've actually tried multiple times. We threw coins at these pricks. Well, I say we, as a fan base, we threw coins at these pricks in that Burnley game. If they would have left, if they were going to leave, they would have left then. Fans went on the fucking pitch in the middle of a game. No club has done that before. Fans have protested even when we were good at the start of the 21-22 season, and it was mocked by that fat prick Moose. Saying, why are they protesting? Like these TalkSport pricks that Sullivan are close with, always, they do this to every fan base, but because it's kind of worse. I don't know whether any other footballing owners like this, but because they're friends with Sullivan, it's worse. Constantly belittle West Ham fans. West Ham fans have protested before. We've protested before. We've wished multiple times for the owners to leave. We've done chants, threw coins, protested. We could make it a lot worse, but will we? Probably not. We are too far gone. Which is why we'll probably never be a permanently serious club like an Aston Villa, who are constantly battling for Europe now, who are about to equal our tally in probably 3 seasons in a row with Europe. And everyone from top to bottom is in line with the same ambition and same direction. Bournemouth are going to do that. Bournemouth will be up there. Even when Iraola may or may not leave, they will replace him well. It's not like a Southampton team in 15-16 or 14-15, whatever it was when Liverpool, blasted their assholes for all the players they got. It's not like Newcastle with Saudi owners. We don't have Saudi owners. God knows when they're going to spend, but we don't have Saudi owners like Newcastle. We have GSB. Gold, Sullivan, Brady. Now, rest in peace to David Gold, but the Gold family are still here. And when David Gold was here, he was a shit owner as well. That has nothing to do with like you shouldn't wish death upon anyone. I'm not saying any of that nonsense, but I'm saying when he was here, he was a shit owner. I wasn't doing revisionism when the guy passed away, being like he was the good one out of the 3 and all of that. In terms of owner, none of them were good. Doesn't mean I wanted him to fucking die or anything. I said RIP and then moved on. I didn't say anything other more than that. But the Gold family is still there. They're still there. So you're part of the problem. I know the Gold family have gone through a lot, and I sympathise with them because they've lost 2 people. But this football club thing's a separate issue where we've had to go through 15 years of this nonsense. My whole life has basically been the GSB era. I'm 21. I'm turned 22 this year. I started going football in the 10-11 season. I started going to games in that season. Well, I was properly into football throughout the 10-11 season. Only around the back end of the 09-10 season where I could remember things. But specifically with West Ham, it was that season. I was supporting the club, but I properly went to games in that season. And this is what my club is now. It hasn't really gone anywhere. Man can talk about the European trophies and the European trophy and the European seasons, but in a grand scheme of things, the club hasn't gone anywhere. Because when the club is at its highest, and it's quite historic with the club in general, it never like ceases to capitalize upon what it's trying to build. I'm gonna leave it there. I think I've discussed everything. I can't believe this video has been 39 minutes long. This video was actually only meant to be like 10 minutes, but I didn't think I had much to say. But this is purely honest, man. I wasn't even ranting, but this is the cold hard truth. If you want a part 2, I'll do a part 2. I'm probably not even going to record the other video I was going to do, but I might do it tomorrow. Make sure to leave a like on the video. Make sure to subscribe if you're new. If you made it to the end, put GVO Mikes in the comments. And I'll see you guys later. Road to 1K subs. If you're not subbed already, subscribe. I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.